Welcome to the Leadership Sparq Podcast, where we equip you to be the great leader your people deserve. It is Hampton and Corey here. If you are with us today, we imagine that at some level you want to grow, and we are going to provide you with exactly what you need to grow consistently. This podcast, humbly, I think, provides you a couple of the things we're going to share today, but Corey will go in depth over the next day or two on how to grow.
Yeah, and so I think about just experience, right, in my own life, you too, and we'll hear in a second some of the ways that you've learned from this and applied it. And so I think about my own personal experience, and I think about research that's available on what elements need to be in place in the environment for someone to grow. And one of your primary jobs as a leader is to, and we'll say all three, so we can remind people, lead yourself first. The third one is deliver business results. What's in the middle, Hampton?
Develop my team.
Develop your team. So one of your primary jobs as a leader is to develop your team. But even before that, we talk about lead yourself first, which is all about your growth as a leader. And so when I think about my growth and I look at the psychology of growth and what needs to be in place, there's really three things that form us. It's the stories we tell, it's the habits we form, and it's the people we hang out with. And so if I think about what's had the most influence on the growth in my life, it's the stories I tell, it's the habits I've formed over time, and it's the people that I hang around with. These are the key ingredients in the recipe of who we are becoming right now as individuals, and we are becoming as leaders. And so if you think about that, you can really break it down into three words. We like to have acronyms. We like to have words that start with the same letter.
Yep.
And so if you want the ingredients that are in place that align with stories you believe, habits you form, company you keep, or the people you hang out with, then it's really about resources, rhythms, and relationships. And so we'll talk about resources today, and then we can talk about rhythms and relationships tomorrow. But you need all three. If you want to grow as a leader, if you want to help your team grow as individuals on your team, then they need resources, they need rhythms, and they need relationships. And so when we talk about resources, we're talking about the things that you have access to or you can gain access to that will help reshape the story that you believe. And I'm not talking about some like theoretical story. I'm talking about what you believe about leadership and really your inventory of knowledge that you have about leadership principles, leadership frameworks, the things that you need to be exposed to as a leader that will help you build the convictions that you have today and that you need to develop as a leader. This is what we're talking about when we say resources. These stories that we're talking about that resources can influence are what engage our brains in a way that allow us to grow. And so the cool thing about our brains is that we can grow. We can create new stories. We can learn new skills. We can learn through knowledge and other resources that we have. And so resources are the things that reshape the stories that we believe. And what I've learned is that as a leader, and this could apply to any really aspect of my life, that as a leader, I will not grow if I don't commit to engaging in resources or things that will expand what I think about a subject. In this case, we love to talk about leadership. So we're talking about leadership stuff and investing time, leveraging those resources to grow. And so one element is this idea of resources. And if you don't have those, which a teaser here, Hampton, is WildSparq exists to give you all three of these.
That's
WildSparq
right.
is a product that has been built as a system, a scalable system that easily gives people access to resources, helps them build rhythms, and puts them in the context of a relationship. And so hopefully we're building the prime environment for people to grow in a scalable way. But the first thing that you need are what are the things that you are inviting or investing in your life that will allow you to expand the way you think about leadership. And so when you think about that, Hampton, how has this idea of resources and you leveraging those affected your growth as a leader, or even in a lot of ways accelerated your growth as a leader?
We're in 2025 at the time of this recording, and there has never been more information available to us. Now, I know for some people that can be really overwhelming because what book do I read? What podcast do I listen to? What webinar do I attend? There's so many different things. Don't get too overwhelmed by that. In the past and currently, some of the best resources I've found have been specific to the current season that I'm in. So maybe I'm taking on a new role or taking on new responsibility. And so I need to find a resource that is going to help me in that area. But again, in 2025, I don't feel bad for you if you're struggling to find a resource about something. I mean, there are just endless resources out there. How many times can we say that word? But I'll tell you this. If I had to pick the number one key ingredient to be an unbelievable leader, it is humility. And humility isn't just thinking less of yourself. It's not the opposite of arrogant. It's really thinking of yourself less and thinking about other people, being others focused. That's what the best leaders do. And I'll just say this, if you are a leader and you aren't investing in some kind of resources to grow yourself, it's a red flag. It just is, because what that shows me is that maybe you think that you've arrived. You do not embody the humility to know that there's a lot out there that you don't know. Some of the most impressive people, most successful people I know, I mean, they read every day. I've heard people say, I want to learn something new every single day. And so I don't say this to make you feel bad, but nobody has arrived. And I don't even know, what's the quote? It's almost like the more you learn, the more you realize that you don't know in this world. And so the go and do today is just to, one, pat yourself on the back for listening to this, because humbly, we think this is a pretty good resource here. But then say, where do I need to grow in my life, and what resources can I find to specifically help me there? And then come back tomorrow to hear about the other two.